The idea that the Earth is alive has been around for thousands of years. But in recent decades, scientists have started to take it more seriously. Is it possible that the planet is a kind of superorganism? And if so, could it even be conscious? Hi, I'm here to introduce you to this question and more in this series from Minute Earth. Now, technically, Earth isn't alive in the way that people or dogs or trees are alive. It doesn't have cells or a metabolism or any of those biological properties that biologists use to define life. But the idea that Earth is alive is based on the idea that it behaves like a living thing. Like living things, Earth takes in energy and matter and grows and changes over time. And it also maintains an internal balance or homeostasis that allows life to flourish. In the 1970s, the scientist James Lovelock and the microbiologist Lynn Margulis came up with the Gaia Hypothesis, which proposes that Earth functions like a self-regulating system that maintains conditions suitable for life. According to this idea, the planet and its life forms work together to maintain the delicate balance of the atmosphere, oceans, and climate that makes Earth habitable. Like when plants, animals, microbes, and rocks take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen, keeping the atmosphere breathable for critters that need it. Or when phytoplankton in Earth's oceans absorb sunlight, which helps regulate Earth's temperature. Lovelock and Margulis thought that this homeostasis was driven by the combined activities of all of Earth's living things. But today, many scientists have extended the idea of homeostasis to Earth's non-living parts too. Oceans, for example, absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, helping keep it at a livable level. And when Earth's average temperature starts to rise or fall too much, various feedbacks kick in to bring it back to a comfortable range. When it gets warmer, for example, more water evaporates off the surface, which forms clouds that reflect more sunlight back into space, which cools the planet. Taken together, all of these processes make Earth a remarkably hospitable place for life, which got some scientists thinking that maybe the planet itself is kind of like an organism. Some even wondered if Earth might be conscious. In other words, does the planet have a mind of its own? Well, there's one important process that seems to be necessary for consciousness as we know it, and that's neurons, those specialized cells that transmit information through the nervous system. Now, Earth certainly has some neuron-like structures. For example, there are electrical circuits in the oceans, driven by differences in salinity and temperature that are very similar to the way neurons transmit signals. And trees have a sort of network connecting them underground through their roots, and also via a slimy fungus that grows between them. Some scientists have even pointed out that the large intestine of termites acts like a neural network, and that the tunnels that subterranean termites dig could be considered a kind of brain. So Earth has some structures that resemble neurons, but we don't have any direct evidence that they actually function as neurons or that the planet has anything resembling a brain. Nonetheless, a few scientists and philosophers have argued that the planet's ability to maintain homeostasis and produce complex adaptive behavior like ecosystems and consciousness is a sign that Earth is a kind of superorganism that shows signs of awareness. They suggest that events like climate shifts and changes in biodiversity are disturbances to this homeostasis that trigger responses throughout the planet, kind of like how your body responds to an injury or infection. For example, rising temperatures might trigger phytoplankton to reproduce more, which in turn affects how much carbon dioxide they absorb. More phytoplankton could also mean more food for zooplankton, which affects how much carbon they release when they die, which in turn affects how much of that carbon is stored in the deep ocean. So Earth's living and non-living parts respond and adapt to changes in a coordinated way, which some people interpret as a sign of consciousness. Of course, it is also possible that these changes are simply the result of the physical laws of nature and not the actions of a conscious being. As the physicist Albert Einstein put it, God doesn't play dice. In other words, everything that happens is completely determined by physical laws. So if Earth is responding to imbalances, it's doing so blindly according to the laws of physics and chemistry. There's no decision-making involved. But whether or not you think Earth is conscious, there's no denying that the planet feels pretty alive sometimes. After all, Earth provides all of the resources we need to survive, and it is intimately connected to our spiritual and cultural development. Many ancient cultures personified Earth as a mother or a deity like the Greek Gaia, the Aztec Coatlicue, the Inca Pachamama, and the Yoruba Aya. These myths and beliefs show just how deeply intertwined our ideas of ourselves and our worldviews are with the health and habitability of the planet. And in modern times, about 3/4 of Americans say they feel spiritually connected to the natural world. And more than half of millennials and members of Generation Z say that protecting the environment is either very or extremely important to them personally. In the end, though, whether or not Earth is alive is a philosophical question more than a scientific one, because we don't really know what consciousness is or how it arises even in humans, let alone planets. Though scientists are starting to figure out how neural networks process information, we still can't explain things like subjective experience or how memories become emotions. So we don't have a good framework for deciding whether or not Earth is conscious. What we do know is that the stuff that's on it is causing some major changes. Humans have been altering Earth's systems since we started farming 12,000 years ago. And over the past 300 years, we've begun to drastically change the planet's climate, pollute its air and oceans, and destroy habitats around the world. This has caused some major disruptions to Earth's balance, including rising sea levels, more extreme weather events, and widespread extinctions. So if Earth is a living conscious entity, then we're sorely disturbing its peace. On the other hand, if it's not conscious, then we're upsetting the finely tuned balances that allow life to thrive. Either way, the consequences are the same. In fact, some scientists hypothesize that the current mass extinction event, which we're likely to blame, is a response from Earth. Some have even suggested that Hurricane Katrina was the planet's way of punishing us for ignoring signs of climate change. But while it might be comforting to think that Earth is looking out for itself, that doesn't give us an excuse to stop polluting and destroying habitats. Ultimately, whether or not you think Earth is alive, we should care for it. It's the only home we've got, and it's worth protecting for its own sake, conscious or not. If you ask me, it's hard to believe that Earth is truly conscious, but it is also impossible to imagine that this amazing blue marble suspended in space just happened to evolve the perfect conditions for life by chance. Maybe the universe had a little help from an intelligent designer. And again, maybe we're just reading too much science fiction. As Carl Sagan said, we're a way for the cosmos to know itself. If that's true, then we're all part of the Earth, just like it's part of us. And in that sense, Earth is as alive as we are. So could Earth be conscious? Well, maybe. Should Earth be conscious? Yes. And that brings us to the next big question, which is how long will it be before we drive ourselves extinct? Thanks for watching this episode of C Show, and thanks to one of our patrons for asking this question. Our patrons could submit questions to our inbox, and our editors pick out the best ones to answer in episodes like this one. We have tons of fun science interactives on our site that will help you answer all sorts of science questions just like this one. And it's all made possible by our patrons. So if you would like to support us and get cool perks like submitting questions to our inbox,